Coming up on Explore the Door, we are headed into the second longest known natural cave in Wisconsin. Hello everybody, John Jarsch here for Explore the Door. We are with Eric Olson. He is the Door County Parks Director. He is about to take us into this cave right behind us. Eric, how are you today?
Pretty good, John. Thanks so much for coming.
We are really excited about it. Now tell us about Horseshoe Bay Cave.
Well, Horseshoe Bay Cave is the second longest cave in the state of Wisconsin, the second longest natural cave. There's some mines and kind of man-made areas that are much larger, but it's very much a natural wild cave, as we call it, which means it hasn't been dug out or any modifications made as far as staircases or boardwalks or lighting or anything like that.
Yeah.
You're in for a treat to actually go into a natural cave that hasn't been modified at all.
Yeah, very exciting. And the reason why we're here is to showcase what people can see on your public tours. Talk to us a little bit about the frequency of those in any given year and kind of what people might be able to see while they're on one of these.
Sure, yeah, we've just started those in the last couple of years. We're trying to get that program off of the ground and allow opportunities for people to come in and see the cave with their own eyes and experience what it's like to be in complete darkness underground. The cave is pretty much constant temperature year-round, about 50 degrees. So
okay.
It's going to feel very nice in there. Definitely more humidity than outside. It's a lot of moisture year-round in the cave.
Yeah.
Huh.
Well, this is great. Well, I'm excited to get back in here and check this place out. So let's get to it. After you.
All right, let's go into Horseshoe Bay Cave.
In we go. We're in.
So right a short ways from the front entrance, in fact we could see it when we were standing out there, is some of the scientific equipment that the DNR has put in here to help monitor the bat population that uses Horseshoe Bay Cave during the winter. This first rectangular frame out of PVC pipe has these black cables on, or hoses. They basically, it's called a pit tag reader. They'll read microchips that are in the bats when they fly in and out of the cave, and they could have an idea where those bats flew from, how large of a radius that they kind of move around, and if they were tagged at Horseshoe Bay Cave or somewhere else in the state.
Okay.
They actually found out they travel up to a 200-mile radius around Horseshoe Bay Cave.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So we'll just be careful as we crawl through here not to damage it. There's another set of scientific instruments in here that is a series of beams, laser beams, a beam break system where the bats fly in and out, and whenever they break the beam, then they get counts on how many bats use the cave. And both of these, the laser beams and the pit tag reader, are powered by the solar panel outside the entrance of the cave, so there's battery packs off on the left side there.
Yeah, and I mean, how many bats have they lasered
I'm not sure the exact numbers over multiple winters, but they've counted between the laser counts and also hand counting when they come in and physically count the bats on the walls of the cave, up to 1,400 bats using Horseshoe Bay Cave during the winter. So yeah, well over 1,000, almost 1,500.
Wow.
Yeah.
And do we have any of our furry friends in here today, you think?
There shouldn't be. I'm not going to rule it out. Typically in the summer, like when we're going in August now, they're out in the trees roosting outside, eating all the insects during the summer and storing up their energy reserves before they hibernate during the winter.
Okay. So not many in here in the summer. They come in here in the...
Yeah, typically in early fall, September, October, and then they hibernate through May.
Okay.
So then they're outside during the summer and the warmer months outside of the cave.
Yeah. Having fun yet? So Eric, here we are. It looks like the first big room here that you can stand up in.
Exactly, yeah. This is called the Cloakroom. Basically the first room in the cave, as you mentioned. I think it was just named because of a room in a home where you hang your coats or cloaks up. And very tall dome. Not sure if the camera could capture all the way to the top, but it's a good 40 to 50 feet up to the peak of the room here, up to the dome. Showing the light up on there. One of the first things people notice when they come into this room is just how the walls of the room kind of sparkle and glow. Yeah. Really neat that it's so close to the front entrance.
And so if this is a cloakroom, and we're how far off from the entrance here?
Approximately 75 feet in from the entrance.
Okay. How far back do you guys know this cave goes?
Yeah, they've mapped and kind of surveyed back about 3,000 feet into the Niagara Escarpment, so it's remarkable how far back it goes.
So 75 feet for the cloakroom. That is true. It is a cloakroom. You got not even in the house yet, really.
We're just in the very top corner by the entrance through the cloakroom, just in that blue area there. The first 370 feet are basically one level. If you think of kind of a old riverbed coming through the Niagara Escarpment, through the rock, going out into the bluff where we entered into the cave, so it's all one level, and a lot of sediment, sandy deposits were filled from the water running out over the years. Then it goes up at the wall room about 15 feet, and then it gets to more of a bedrock bottom to the cave, so it's quite a different experience too. Instead of crawling in the sand and the mud, you're pretty much bare exposed rock that water has washed off, a lot of gravel and rocks and pebbles and things. And from that point on, there's a lot of standing water throughout the rest of the cave, so you do need different gear than what we're set up with today here. Actually, wetsuits going back in there to keep your body temperature okay, like at hypothermia.
Yeah.
It's pretty much year-round 50-degree temperature in the cave, and the water even gets colder at different points of the year.
Sure. Is this a cave where if it rains, you will see some water coming into it?
Yes, a couple falls ago in September 2015, I actually got some pictures of water running over the front entrance of the cave. So yep, there's definitely an active, basically a piping or channel right to the groundwater in Door County. That's basically what caves are. We're kind of going into the plumbing system of Door County.
Yeah, yeah. And the public tours that you guys do, how far back do you guys usually go? And is this the typical attire that people wear?
Yeah, we can't take people back too far with all the standing water and how cold it is, so we don't bring them in with wetsuits, but we could usually get them back about 200 feet into the cave before there's a lot of standing water and we have to turn around.
Yeah.
So they get a good feel for what it looks like to go through several rooms like we're standing in now.
Sure.
And see some smaller formations and different features of the cave.
And I mean, is this, you guys provide these? What else can people wear?
Yep.
Do they need to?
Yeah, we just help people to wear kind of some older clothes you don't mind getting a little muddy or dirty in. Just jeans, maybe a long sleeve shirt to protect your arms from getting scraped. We do provide these disposable coveralls just to help keep your clothes clean and also protect the cave with the white nose syndrome that is affecting the bat population here. So it helps kind of sanitize things and not spread that from cave to cave, since it is showing up in Door County and also in Horseshoe Bay Cave now.
Sure.
Yeah, and of course helmets and lights are the most important thing we provide. We also have gloves, knee pads and elbow pads. The first public tours we started doing that was probably the biggest request, is to get some knee pads, because there is a lot of stooping and crawling in between the rooms where you could stand up in like we're at now. Basically all these rooms are pretty much a crack that goes to the surface. So over time the room is kind of built from water dissolving down to the main portion of the cave, which is actually, like I said, a underground river channel.
Sure.
So it's kind of an intersection wherever there's rooms like this, they're shaped like this, cracks to the surface down to the main channel of the cave.
If you have a chance to do a cave tour here, you guys, you have to do it. Just saying.
Very unique thing to have in Door County, to have this opportunity to come in. So this next little room we're standing in has a good example of some ribbon flowstone. It kind of comes down in ribbon sheets going all the way up the wall here. And again, those are different types of mineral, calcium deposits, different things like that, that basically drain down through the water and get deposited when the water drips off them. Another thing that I could point out in here is some of this squiggly lines along the side. They call it cave writing. You'll notice it a lot on the walls and the ceilings as we go back.
Yeah.
More examples there. That's actually deposits of sediment or dirt from the surface coming down with the water. And it makes all kinds of neat designs. Most of the cave is just like we've crawled through. Primarily, most of the 3,000 feet are maybe 3 or 4 feet wide, 2-3 feet tall. So it's tight area, basically just a tube that we're crawling through.
Yeah.
And then at all the intersections, there's rooms like this.
Claustrophobic? Nobody around here is claustrophobic. There's no room to be claustrophobic.
John, we're actually standing at the base of what used to be a stalagmite that was growing up towards the ceiling. The difference between a stalactite is stalactites hang tight to the ceiling. The stalagmites might grow up to the ceiling. Kind of a good way to remember that. And sometimes you'll actually see them connected all the way down in a column down to the cave floor. So over thousands of years, all the minerals were depositing here and making a kind of a tower.
The one thing that I'm kind of amazed at, not only about the total darkness, but it's so quiet under here. It's amazing all the background noise that we have in our everyday lives, that when you're down, you don't think about it, but when you're down here, you literally can hear the quiet. Pretty cool.
So now we're entering into the second larger room near the entrance of the cave called the Rocky Mountain Room. You'll notice a lot of the big rocks and boulders kind of on the bottom of the cave floor that you crawl over. It's a real long, narrow room. And on the left side here, there's actually a lot of sediment that's been deposited as waters flowed towards the entrance of the cave throughout time and create some little pools of water where there's little microorganisms in there, springtails, different things like that. We like to do in the Rocky Mountain Room here is we back about 200 feet into the cave and we have everybody shut their lights off, so it's really fun with the kids to do that if we take in some of the school groups and we shut all the lights off. They get to chance to experience complete total darkness, and a lot of people, especially the kids, will say, oh yeah, I've been in the pitch dark, like if it's at night, if they're in their bedroom or go in a closet and shut the door, but still it's amazing how much light still is around you if your eyes adjust to it.
Sure.
In the cave, completely different story. There's no extra sources of light in here. So we'll have the kids kind of put their hand up by their face and I tell them, well, go ahead and move your hand close to your face and see how close you can get it until you see. And of course they could never see their hands or their fingers, and some of them go a little too far and they have a big wet, muddy handprint on their face when they come out of the cave, but definitely a fun thing to do. And you had mentioned earlier, John, besides how dark it is, just how much there isn't a lot of extra noise or anything. It's just so quiet, and a lot of times we'll sit for a minute or two in the dark and they think it's 10 minutes or 15 minutes because you're just sitting there in complete dark and there's no other sounds. Once in a while you hear a little bit of a water drop into a puddle, something like that.
The Rocky Mountain Room, we made it back about 200 feet, right?
We did.
Nice.
Yeah, unfortunately we'll have to kind of abbreviate our tour today at this point because past here there's a lot of standing water and we're not really wearing wetsuits or anything to make it a little bit more comfortable going further back into the cave.
Is this room about as far back as the public tours come?
Yes, the last couple of years we've had to turn around right past this room. We usually bring them up around a big bend and have to do a single file line and do a U-turn just so they can see where the standing water is.
Sure.
You guys have already experienced some of that walking through the Rocky Mountain Room since we had so much moisture this year. We went through a few little puddles there.
Yeah, but nothing too bad. You're certainly going to get a little dirty, a little muddy, but
part of the experience.
Part of the experience, absolutely. We made it. Well, Eric, thank you so very much for that absolutely incredible tour of the cave. Talk to us a little bit about the public tours that you guys do offer.
Sure. Thank you so much for coming today. Always a pleasure to take people into the cave. Yeah, we're trying to offer more tours periodically throughout the summer and into the fall. So just check the County Parks website or call or email the office. We'll let you know when tours are scheduled, and it's definitely a good opportunity for people to get into the cave. Obviously it's normally gated, so anybody from the public is welcome to come up and look at the entrance of the cave, but you need to kind of make a reservation ahead of time to actually take a tour into the cave.
Yeah, on one of your guided tours. Eric, thank you very much. This has been great. So for Explore the Door, I'm your host John Jarsh, and until next time, I hope you can get out here to explore the door.